In this video, I want to have a look at how we can use Pythagoras' theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse. So we know that Pythagoras' theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now c squared is always our hypotenuse squared, so c stands for the length of the hypotenuse, and a and b are the lengths of our two shorter sides. Now it doesn't matter which way round we put those, but they do have to be the shorter sides. So let's have a look at an example. So say we had a right-angled triangle, and we have sides 3, 4, and we want to figure out the length of that hypotenuse there. So we're going to put our numbers and our pronumerals into Pythagoras' theorem. So our hypotenuse is x, so we will have x squared equals, and then we've got our two shorter sides squared and added together. So it doesn't matter if we do 3 squared plus 4 squared, or if we wrote it the other way around and wrote 4 squared plus 3 squared, we'll still get the same thing. So our next one, 3 squared is 9 and 4 squared is 16. So we have 9 squared plus 16, which would give us 25. So we're not quite finished yet because that's found x squared, but we just want to know what x is on its own. So to get rid of this squared, we're going to have to do the opposite, which is take the square root. Now if we're taking the square root here, we have to do it to this side as well. So x is going to be equal to the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So that means the length of our hypotenuse is 5 units long. Let's have a look at one more example. All right, so we've got a right-angled triangle again. Put our right angle in here. Let's call this side, let's call it D this time. Doesn't matter what letter we use. Let's call this one 5 units and this one 10 units. So we're going to go through that same process. So we're using Pythagoras' theorem. So we're going to have d squared is equal to our two shorter sides. So 10 squared plus 5 squared. So that will give us 10 squared is 100 and 5 squared is 25. So we'll end up with 125. Now again, that's what d squared is. We just want to know what d is. So to find d, we're going to take the square root of 125. Now this one's a little bit different. When we took the square root of 25, it came out really nicely to give 5. The square root of 125 isn't a nice whole number. It'll give you a decimal. So we have two options. We can either leave it in this form, which is what we call surd form, so we've got a surd there, or we could round it off to a decimal. So you could put the square root of 125 into your calculator and then round it off to say 1 or 2 decimal places, whatever the question asked you for. So this answer is exact, but we could round it off if we want to. All right, so that's 2 examples of using Pythagoras' theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse.